Okay, I just recorded the trolley example. Hope you enjoyed that. That's a fun one. Here's my trolley example. It's not life or death. It's not really deontological versus consequential, but it's a story of my development. And I'm not making any claim to moral superiority over you or anyone else. This is just my story. It's real, and I think it's insightful. Many years ago, early on in my tenure here at UCF, I was responsible to create the fourth credit hour for Management 3025. I used to have that. And so I made these sessions called SOAP. I won't get into what they were, but I had 200 students coming at a time. And in the process of doing that, I had evaluations for them so that I could get their feedback and make the program better. And the evaluation was done with paper and pencil, so I went to the department and I got 200 pencils, brand new pencils, sharpened, brand new erasers, put them in the box with the surveys, administered the surveys, and at the end of the session, we had 4 or 5 sessions. I don't remember how many students were in the class, maybe 800 at the time. I pulled up into my garage in my pimped out Camry, walked around the back, pushed that awesome button, and it opened and the light came on. And I looked down. I was completely unprepared for this happening. And inside this box were the surveys, all 800 surveys, and then 200 pencils. Now, to you, this story probably is not making any sense, but you need to understand the context. I raised my kids alone for more than 10 years, and that was a trial. It was a challenge as a single dad, and many of you can relate to that. Maybe you had a single parent or something and saw the challenges. One of the challenges, it's a small thing, but it was kind of persistent, is that the kids would come down from their rooms working on their homework, let's say math homework or something. I would be working with them, and they would have a pencil that's this long and no eraser on it. They'd hold it with their little fingers, and then I would need to use it. We never had pencils in our house. I could buy 1 million pencils, it seemed like, and they seemed like the kids would take them upstairs and eat them or something. So when I saw the pencils, I got a smile on my face, and I thought, 200 brand new pencils. I'll put them in my file drawer, and every time the kids come down, I'll just grab a new pencil and say, "Here, Sam, have a brand new pencil. Here, Meg, look at this beautiful full eraser. You know, what a wonderful thing." And I was standing there in the dark garage with the trunk light shining down at them, glowing gold #2 pencils, hardly been used. Really, all of them pretty much had a beautiful tip on them, full erasers. And I caught myself. I thought to myself, what are you doing? You have a fantastic job with colleagues you love and respect. You enjoy your job as a teacher. You are paid very fairly, maybe more than fairly. You're fortunate. God has blessed you so much in this work setting that you have to be able to be around your kids, because you don't have to be on campus all day, every day, like a lot of people do in their jobs. And you are prepared to steal from your own employer to fulfill the need to have 100 #2 beautiful gold pencils in your file drawer. You return those to the department and go out and buy your stupid pencils. Are you seriously contemplating a little theft like that, where the consequences, I would never get caught. No one would probably really even care. But the thing is, I would be a thief if I did that, and it just struck me that way. As a consequence of that, I began to think about my own behaviors. Now, I have never purposefully stolen from work. I've never taken anything that I knew wasn't mine or anything like that. But as a consequence of going to work and coming back, things make their way to my home. Mostly like pens. Now this one says StockTran Global Portfolio Simulations. I have no idea where I got it, but I didn't get it from UCF. And the reason I know when I picked it up that it didn't come from UCF is because I make a really concerted effort to go through my things on my desk and make sure that I haven't brought anything home in my shirt pocket or anything. I bring it back. It's not a sin to bring it home. It's just You're busy, you grab a pen, you have it in your pocket. There were other things I did that were very much condoned. I never asked, but I know this is the norm, it's acceptable. Sometimes I would run low on paper at home and my printer, which is right over here. And most all of my printing has always been school related. So when I buy the toner and the paper for my printer and use it for work, I'm actually paying money for work supplies. So I would bring home a ream of paper. Like if I was out, I couldn't get to the store, I just bring a ream of paper. Maybe in my mind I thought, well, I'll bring one back, or I use my own paper, so this isn't even the total amount of paper I consume at home for work-related things. I don't know what I thought, but I was doing it. I didn't really ever see anyone else do it, but I'm not surprised if they did, and I'm not embarrassed or ashamed by that action, or I wasn't, until I realized, hey, you know, that belongs to the school, and even if I could get explicit permission from like my department chair or secretary or something, I don't know, why do I want to do that? It's a ream of paper. It's a small thing. And if I'm willing to take the pencils and take the paper and take the pens that end up here, a box of paper clips, whatever, if I'm willing to do those little things, then what else might I be willing to do later? Because I firmly believe that we get desensitized to the process of engaging in ethical breaches. We do small things first, and they add up. I have another video I'm going to do about a story of someone who I think that's what happened. The ethical breaches grew and grew and grew until it became ginormous, and there was a big crime committed. I don't want to be a criminal. I don't want to ever end up there. So how do I safeguard myself? I don't take those things home. And then I became what I call a net giver. And what that means to me is that I take a number of dollars. In some years past, it was $500, but it sort of varies on the year and what I'm doing. And I commit that money to being spent in work-related endeavors, lunches with other faculty members, lunches with students, or coffees, or whatever, sodas in the office, or whatever I'm doing. Sometimes I've ordered keychain things that I gave to all the students, and that all those things came out of my own pocket. Why do I do that? I do that personally. It's just my own method. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm staying far away from the ethical slopes, you know, the slippery slope that can happen. I do that because I want to be a net giver. By that I just mean that overall I want to give more to my organization than I take. And I apply that in my life everywhere that I have the strength to do so, everywhere I can, when I'm mindful enough and thoughtful enough to do so. I don't mean to get too personal, but with my wife, I try to be a net giver. My desire is to give more to her than she gives to me. And ironically, the consequence in interpersonal relationships for having that kind of view is that I really can't outgive my wife. When I give to her, she may not give back in a reciprocal, equal way immediately, but I start noticing that all the things that she's doing for me, and it's hard for me really to add up the gifts that I give to her and think in any way that they're greater than all that she gives me. So it breeds in me actually a sense of thankfulness, not only for my wife in that scenario, but for my work. I want to be a net giver. It's my decision. It's my ethical commitment that I will be a net giver to my workplace. And I'd encourage you to think about that. You don't need to set aside the money if you don't, but if you do, I think the rewards will be greater than you ever could really anticipate. Set aside $100 for just buying people lunch or something during the course of a whole year. That's only maybe 8 lunches or something, but 8 lunches with people where you're generous and say, I got this, let me get this, can go a long way to building the social fabric in your relationships with others. So don't steal the pencils, don't steal the paper clips, don't let the office supplies end up on your desk at home. There's no reason for it. It's a very small amount. And more than that, it's the beginning of something that could grow larger. Probably won't, hopefully it won't, but it could. And that risk is too great to take, in my estimation. Think about that.